There is a crowd. They are booing intensely. Many are waving white handkerchiefs, discarding them in frustration, and some folks are actually leaving the stadium. The game is not even finished yet. Two countries participating in the World Cup just stood on the field for a solid 80 minutes, barely making any effort. And shockingly, FIFA was powerless to take action against them. This event is known as the Disgrace of Gijon. What a result! It led to the elimination of a team that had previously defeated West Germany. Astonishingly, no official rules were broken, and consequently, there were no penalties. However, this incident compelled FIFA to completely restructure the format of the World Cup moving forward.
This narrative transcends merely recounting two teams performing poorly on the field. Instead, it delves into the ramifications when the established rules themselves become the instruments of manipulation. It was 1982 in Spain, and this was the match that seemed to shatter the sport, only to inadvertently mend it.
Before we address the controversy itself, it is important to grasp what Algeria had already accomplished. For this nation, the 1982 tournament marked a significant milestone. It was their first appearance in the World Cup. They had no prior history in the competition, no experience to draw upon, and certainly no guide for navigating the unprecedented situation that lay ahead. Their first match put them up against West Germany, a team universally recognized as one of the most formidable powers in international football. With multiple World Cup victories already to their name and a squad of exceptional talent, Germany had no apparent reason to feel threatened by Algeria. Yet, the final score read Algeria 2 and West Germany 1. Let that remarkable outcome sink in for a moment.
This was a monumental achievement, the first time any nation from Africa, as well as the Arab world, had managed to defeat a European powerhouse on the World Cup stage. Across Algeria, ecstatic crowds spontaneously swarmed the streets in celebration. This victory transcended mere sport. It powerfully asserted Algeria's presence and legitimacy within the global arena. However, the demands of a tournament schedule do not pause for such significant events. Algeria subsequently faced Austria, losing that particular match by a close margin, before rallying to secure a win against Chile. After their initial 3 games, their record stood at 1 breathtaking victory, 1 defeat, and another win. These results left them with a total of 4 points. Based on any reasonable assessment of tournament rules and past precedents, this tally should have been more than sufficient to advance. They had undeniably surpassed all expectations, anticipated for a team making its debut as a qualifier. Furthermore, they had defeated the team that most seasoned observers had confidently predicted would top the group standings. The most challenging part of the competition, it seemed, was already behind them. At least that was their prevailing assumption. However, a single, seemingly minor detail related to the tournament schedule was lurking in their path, and it ultimately proved catastrophic for their aspirations.
Back in 1982, the final group stage games at the World Cup were not played concurrently, a mistake FIFA would correct after this match. Teams played sequentially, meaning the last match kicked off with the scoreboard clearly set. Algeria had already exited the field. Their 4 points, the accumulation of their World Cup dream, were final. West Germany and Austria, the next competitors, came onto the field with all coaching staffs fully aware of what the exact conditions needed for them to both succeed were already. The math was simple. If West Germany won by precisely 1 goal, both European teams would advance. That is, on goal difference, Algeria, their 4 points insufficient, would be knocked out.
No secret meeting, no darkened corridor phone call needed. The numbers were plainly visible, plastered across every newspaper, broadcast on every channel, accessible to anyone with a calculator. The scoreboard itself was the communication. Then Horst Hrubesch headed one home for West Germany 10 minutes in. 1-0. The exact score both teams needed arrived after 10 minutes. The urgency just vanished. You could feel it leave the stadium like air from a punctured tire. It was not gradual. It was immediate. The crowd, the commentators, and even the Algerian players, I imagine watching afar, felt it profoundly. And in the stands, German and Austrian fans started to boo their own teams. Algeria had not even gotten on the pitch, and their World Cup fate was already sealed. Somewhere in Spain, the Algerian players were watching on a monitor. They could not tackle anyone. They could not score. They had zero mechanisms to change what was happening. All they could do was watch. On the pitch, the football was almost an insult to describe. Passes went sideways, then backward, then sideways again, with no forward intent whatsoever. Players walked when they should have sprinted, and jogged when they should have pressed. Neither team created danger, because neither team wanted to create danger. The Spanish broadcasters were not pretending either. They called it out and said it explicitly. In the stands, fans started waving white handkerchiefs, a Spanish football tradition that means we are disgusted. Some people will say West Germany and Austria were just being smart. And technically, fine, it was cold and tournament intelligent. But that argument actually proves the point, not defeats it. The scandal is not that two teams were clever. The clever thing about it, the scandalous thing, was that being clever required making the game unutterably boring. The rules told you to play appalling football, and the rules worked. When the final whistle blew, a single goal graced the scoreboard. The perfect score. West Germany through, Austria through, Algeria eliminated. Not because they failed, but because the system let two teams manage the ending without them. FIFA investigated the disgrace of Gijon, and what happened next tells you everything. No punishment came down. No replay was ordered. The result stood, the table stood. Algeria went home. There was no courtroom ending, no dramatic confession, no justice with a stamp on it. The most honest thing FIFA could say was, technically, nothing illegal happened. And that is exactly what made it so corrosive. But here's the thing. FIFA could not just shrug and move on forever. Because the whole world had watched, and the whole world knew what it saw. So starting from the next major tournament, the rule changed. Final group stage matches would now be played simultaneously. Every team, same kickoff, no waiting. No more walking onto the pitch already knowing the perfect score. No more using your opponent's earlier result as a blueprint for doing nothing. That one dead afternoon in Spain permanently rewired how the sport is organized globally. That rule stays at every World Cup, every major international tournament, still today. One ugly match in 1982 forced football to redesign itself and never looked back. But here is the uncomfortable question that rule does not answer. Simultaneous kickoffs stop the knowing, yes, but they do not stop the math. If two teams still need the same result at the same time, the temptation does not disappear. It just shrinks back a bit. The rules do not just control the game. They create the arena for what game is even possible. Gijon proved that. And if simultaneous play solved everything, well, there is a match from 2004 that might change that thought. Now stop, because while all that math was playing out on the pitch, Algeria's players were watching on a monitor. They had already done every single thing right, and they could not change a single thing. Algeria went home. No punishment, no appeal, just gone. But that dead match in Gijon, it rewrote the World Cup rulebook. Simultaneous final games, every tournament since. The rules do not just control the game, they build it. Let me know in the comments.
Should West Germany and Austria have been disqualified? Because next video, another World Cup where a team gamed the system. And that one, FIFA Actuality tried to cover up.